I think there definitely could be. I mean, like you say, veteran-wise, yeah, I guess it seems like there's more defensive guys that are still here, so maybe defense could be a strength. But either way, you know, the Big 12 just cycles in guys that are athletic and that can play ball. And so even though the guys that are coming up in these different programs might be new faces, I mean, they're all going to end up doing about the same thing. But that's just how the Big 12 recruits. That's who they get. And so that's still going to probably be the persona just because it is the Big 12, and that's how they're always seen. But I think the defenses are going to step up, especially ours. Like, I'm excited because I know our defense can be great, and we're trying to show that again this year.
Does it upset you at all, the national perspective about the Big 12 not playing defense?
It does. It's frustrating whenever we're also still one of the top defenses in the nation at times. You know, and it's like, have we not proven ourselves? Like, aren't we considered a great defense if we do well in an offensive, conference? But that's people's perspective and that's their opinion. A lot of times you can't really change that, even as much as you try. So we're just going to keep doing what we can to hopefully try to change the tide of that. But it is what it is at the end of the day.
What's the most impressive thing about Ben?
Oh, just his motor. I mean, first off, his ability. He's a guy that studies the game, and so he learns techniques and where to put his balance and things to be successful in the defensive inside. But then his motor to be able to continuously go each play in and play out, and just keep fighting and not giving up on the play. So that's one thing you got to respect as a player. Because I've done some defensive end, and that's tiring. Go out there and do that. It's like a different, because you're using your full body. Like, I remember just being at practice, a full day at the end. I was like, man, I have not been this broke after practice before. But it's a different ball game down there. And so the fact that he's able to be as successful as he has been in that position, I mean, that's credit to him.
Thanks, Ty. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is his story kind of what TCU's all about? Just taking full advantage of opportunity. ULM, the only school that offers him, and kind of gets an opening here, and all of a sudden he's a defensive player of the year preseason. So that kind of just he kind of feels just like a TCU story.
Oh yeah, no, he really is. I mean, it's just, again, Coach P seeing potential in someone that maybe other people didn't see. Me being a linebacker, who would have saw that, and then him with Ben as well. It's just a credit to looking for people that maybe aren't seen as the most athletic, but are good people. You could see potential. You could reach that point. And then of course Ben took it and ran with it when he came here, and that's gave him the success that he has.
Coach P was talking this morning about, you guys are getting more 4- and 5-star guys from a recruiting standpoint, but it's really about player development. Can you talk a little bit about your development as a player in the course of time at TCU and just where you've gone? Because I know you've played a couple of different positions. Yeah. You've been in different places. What is what has the coaching staff done for you from a development standpoint?
Well, for me, originally it started off with trying to learn how to play linebacker itself. I mean, they were teaching me how to play defense here, but there's for a little bit, for the first couple weeks, it was more about learning how to play the position of linebacker, because I hadn't done that since Little League, and that doesn't even count. So they had to be a little patient with me, as patient as Coach B can be, and they pushed me to then learn the defense. And it was kind of a process of just starting learning my role and understanding what my job was, and then I was able to learn what each other position was. That way I knew how my job fit into our defense. It's all about doing your 111th on our job. Because, I mean, if I go and it's a gap control defense, if I was to try to do something too much and I get out of my gap, that's whenever we get creased. That's because that's the type of defense we do, is that gap control. So, I mean, really just developing as a player. Really with the film work was the biggest part, though, and just understanding my job.
How many hours of film work in a ratio standpoint to hours of practice?
I mean, as a team, when we get together as positions, we end up watching about the same amount. I mean, we watch all of practice, and then we'll also watch other teams as well. So maybe about the equal amount, maybe a little more film than practice. But then they expect us to get work in our own too. And so if I can, I try to go in, get a couple hours film on myself on Monday, because that's our day off. And now that I'm in online classes, because I've graduated, I'm on a master's program, I'm excited to be able to have more time to even be able to put towards the film room, because I don't have to go to class every day. So I can do my homework, knock it out for a couple hours for the whole week, and then just spend the rest of the week, extra time getting treatment, watching film. Because, I mean, ultimately that's the type of part of the game that I haven't really pressed for as much, as being healthy, working out, that kind of thing. And so I'm going to try to work on my mental aspect more.
What are you getting your master's in?
It's a master's liberal arts. It's kind of the way it's a thing that we have set up because of a lot of our master's classes take place at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I can't miss practice every day.
Yeah.
So I got enrolled in this master's program.
You know what his reputation is? Just as a fun guess, what would you guess hours that Coach P watches film in the course of a week?
In a week? Should
Or
we
a
narrow
day?
it down
How
to
about
a
a
day?
day? How
Yeah,
about a
'cause
day?
that's probably easier to think
There's no
of.
math
Can't be.
here,
It can't be
Gil.
more than.
Oh,
It
geez,
can't be
I've
more
taken
than
math class
24.
Like 3 years. You gotta give me
It can't be more than 24.
25. Man.
Yeah.
But I'd say, in all seriousness, on an average day of watching film during the season, let's say we practice 2 hours a day. We have meetings right before that for about an hour. So let's say it's 3 hours of the day. He's watching film, whether by himself or with coaches. I wouldn't even doubt 8 to 10 hours a day.
Right.
Just either on his own or with the coaches going over some sort of film. And he even, apparently my buddy one time, a couple of my buddies drove by his house when he always talks about watching film late at night. They literally saw him in his room at 1 o'clock in the morning in his little game room watching film of like Texas or something. Like it's crazy. I mean, that's why he's so knowledgeable as he is.